That's true. Off the court valid. All right, I guess fair enough. We're going to hate people today.
Going on, everyone? Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast live from the Xfinity studio. We've got Rudo, we've got Bailey, we've got J-Mike hopping in later. But first, happy Thursday, everyone. We're one day closer to Friday on this lovely rank week here at DNVR and ALLCITY Network. We got a fun show for today. Today marks the first of 2 days for market-specific topics for rank week.
Yep.
And while we wait for J-Mike to hop in, which should be here in the next 15-ish minutes, want to go over the results for this because our main show is basically just talking about the Colorado Avalanche version of this list. But for, I believe it was the staff, a hockey player was actually very present in this debate, Tiff, if you'll pull up the list here. We got some interesting results for this one. Kobe Bryant at the top of the diehard list for this one. Given some of the hatred around Colorado and just how many people pay attention to basketball, I'm not surprised. But Todd Bertuzzi at second for the diehards, which, Todd
Bertuzzi should be one.
He should.
As the diehards got correct. Good job, diehards. Proud of you. I understand the Kobe hate, but and to a lesser extent, this is true of Brady too, though there was more like direct competition. The Broncos were one of the teams that could actually beat Brady in conference championships and stuff, whereas Kobe, like the Nuggets just lost to him all the time. So it's kind of hard to see them on that same level. But Todd Bertuzzi literally committed a crime. Which, I guess Kobe committed a crime in Denver, too. So maybe that's valid.
My God.
But
this is fair. One of them happened on the ice during a game. So,
if we're talking sports hatred, I think it's way more Bertuzzi than Kobe. But
when you're talking about a player having to deal with the civil case outside of the game of hockey for something he did during the game of hockey.
Yeah.
That kind of trumps something in my book, or at least it's got to. For the rest of the diehard list, Tom Brady at third, Patrick Mahomes at fourth, and Darren McCarty, another hockey player, pulling into this list at fifth.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it later on the show, but Darren McCarty really is just the representative of the entire Detroit Red Wings organization, I think.
This is valid.
But
absolutely. I respect Patrick Mahomes being on here. Because I don't think again, as somebody who, if you've listened to the show at all this week, I don't pay attention to many sports as deeply as I do with hockey. But upon moving here, I don't think I realized just how big the rivalry between the Broncos and the Chiefs was. So for that hatred to exist in the manner in which it does.
It's funny. Again, a similar thing to the Kobe situation. I think the underdog team always feels like it's more of a rivalry than the overdog does.
Yes. I'm sure.
Hopefully those tides are changing, but certainly for the majority of Patrick Mahomes' career, the Broncos were the underdog in that conversation for sure. So I don't know. Maybe that hate is a little, I'm not going to say not justified, but does the hate really count if you can't actually turn that hate into fuel to win over that guy? That's kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, it's fun because there's no real consequences to sports hate as long as, you're not a crazy person who's like sending messages to these people, which don't do that. It's just sports.
Yeah, maybe not. As far as the staff debate goes, Todd Bertuzzi takes the cake. Oh, wait, we are?
Wow. What do you mean by fixing?
Oh, yeah, because it says Kobe Bryant down at the bottom of the staff edition of it.
I see.
Our staff knows ball, is all I'm saying, and by ball I mean puck. Todd Bertuzzi made the top of this list for the staff. Patrick Mahomes at second, Kobe Bryant at third, Josh McDaniels making the list at fourth, and Tom Brady at fifth. I don't know a whole lot of the lore behind Josh McDaniels. From what I understand, he was a horrible coach. 11-17 record is what I pulled up immediately, and I just like, okay.
I don't know enough about football to really know, but I think putting a coach on this list is kind of a cop-out.
There are other answers here that I think could have made the list. Again, I'm really excited to talk to our Broncos crew that's going to come in after this show and completely eat my words after this. But
you didn't see me putting Tony Granato on this list, okay?
Oh my gosh, if we were talking villains too, there's a little that could be said for the Rockies organization as a whole.
Dick Monfort, you could definitely put on this list. Yeah,
I was gonna say, if we're talking about like front office that aren't players or whatever, I feel like the Rockies have more of a conversation here than a coach from the Broncos. What was it, years ago?
Yeah.
So maybe that's just me. I don't know. I was gonna say, Tiff, do we have J Mike in? Because maybe he can explain this a little bit better, so I don't feel like I'm stupid on the show for talking about Josh McDaniels. J Mike, what's going on?
What's up, guys? I'm excited to join this haters ball. I've got lots of energy pent up that I'm ready to get going. Who are we currently dumping on?
So we're apparently currently dumping on Josh McDaniels, who I know nothing about as far as the hatred in this city. I'm hoping you can explain a little bit of this to us.
Well, he kind of sabotaged us. He was our rival OC for a long time. He was Belichick's right-hand man in New England. We hire him to be the head coach post Mike Shanahan, which I still feel like they should have given Shanahan another year, but that's a debate for another day. And, McDaniels comes in, classic young coach who's really cocky and treated everybody like dirt, made a bunch of really bad decisions in terms of trading players and just collapsed. It's funny. I think he started 6-0 his first season. And if I remember correctly, the sixth win was over the Patriots. The Broncos were wearing these horrible yellow and brown uniforms that were like a 50-year anniversary throwback. Everybody was feeling him. And then when it collapsed, it collapsed hard. And it was about as disastrous of a coaching tenure as we've had in the Denver sports scene. That just combined with him being, the Patriots guy, I think he's certainly a top 10 villain. Top 5 is maybe a stretch to me, but he sucks. He definitely has a good case to be on here.
I have 2 questions here. One, with McDaniels, does it feel any better that he also ruined the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a weird career, man. He took the Colts job and then backed out of it like 24 hours later. He had a really bad tenure in St. Louis before he went back to New England again. There are a lot of people who think it's like a psyop situation. Like, did Belichick send McDaniels to destroy us within? He lost a couple of playoff games to us and just couldn't take it. I mean, it's a conspiracy worth joking about.
It sounds like Belichick's doing a good job of bringing the sabotage train around with him where he's going to. So
he's got a questionable judgment in terms of who he associates with. I think we can put that on him at this point.
I can get along with this.
And then we see Kobe and Brady on this list, and I know these are location specific. These are the DNVR picks, but do you have anyone else on the just nationwide sports most hated players?
I mean, Bonds was pretty hated there for a good stretch when people were into baseball and suddenly pretended they cared about steroids. The whole league was on it, and then everybody acted like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" Like you couldn't believe it. They're all 45 pounds heavier.
Have
and
you
hitting
seen his
600-foot
rookie
home runs.
pictures? Like, there's no way that dude
This
Natty
is
put on what he was.
crazy. No, I just had a really good off season, guys.
It was a lot of fun when they were jacking those home runs. Obviously, have to not endorse that for health reasons, but it was more fun for baseball when we had the home run thing going. But Bonds was super hated there for a good stretch. Brady and Mahomes, I think there's the Denver, New England, and Denver, Kansas City angle, certainly. But also, I think just with how big the NFL is, like it's easy to root against winners, right? Like there's a large sect of the country that doesn't like LeBron James because of the way he's done certain things. Like he could maybe be in there. Also kind of a whiner. I think Mahomes is a bit of a whiner as well, despite how great he is. So gets a little bit of hate there. But the more you're in our face, the more we're going to find reasons to be annoyed with you as sports fans. So I think there's just some of that in terms of overexposure.
You brought up a really good point in saying, like, Denver fans must feel so special having these two very high-profile
Yeah.
athletes on their list. I think that's really funny.
They have all-time players that they hate, and then they have actual criminals that they hate here in Denver.
He's so unique in his status as the greatest villain of all time. Like that was just I'm trying not to curse or use like offensive language, but it was just the weakest move of all time. You're down like 9-2 in the third. Moore had already fought for the supposed beef,
Yep.
and you're just in your feels getting your ass kicked, and you put a guy in the hospital and paralyze him. Like it was one of the more sickening things to ever happen, like in professional sports, period. And he's a loser. Mark Crawford's a loser. He's right up there with him, who is, a big part of the push for that to happen. And all these years later, it gets me fired up. I think I told this story once on the pod, but the next morning I brought the newspaper in because I was so fired up about what had happened. And my third grade teacher, Mrs. Weicker, shout out to her, she had me explain for some reason the entire thing and in the context of what had happened, because everyone was like, wait, a dude almost got killed in the Avalanche game last night? So I've been rambling about this since I was about 8 years old.
Imagine coming back from that third grade class and your parents are, hey, what'd you guys talk about in school today? Oh yeah, a man almost died the other night, apparently. That's what we learned about that in class today.
The craziest part about this conversation is they suspended Todd Bertuzzi not for an entire season, but for a calendar year. And that calendar year just happened to be the lockout. So he really missed 15
time.
games for this. It's crazy how much he got away with this.
He should have never played again.
Agreed.
I think that's one of the biggest misses in terms of punishment. And obviously we're all biased around here, but I mean, it was just, again, it was despicable. And it goes against everything that, even if you're the biggest proponent of old school hockey and the code and fighting and an eye for eye, he had already fought. And you're down 7 goals. It was just it was such a sucker, piece of shit move, and excuse my language, but I just can't believe that honestly it happened. It's one of the craziest things, up there with the Malice in the Palace with Ron Artest, and one of those things you just can't believe you witnessed happen.
Yep. There's a lot of hatred to be expressed for Todd Bertuzzi, especially in this show. We do have a snake draft coming up for you guys where we are going to sit and complain about all of the Avalanche-related villains that we hate. And there are quite a few of them. But first, we have a couple different sponsors to shout out. So let's go hit our first ad break of the show, and then we'll get into the drafting. We'll get there, guys.
At Common Spirit Health, they're more than just hospitals and clinics. They're a team of passionate and expert caregivers dedicated to your well-being, woven into the very fabric of your community. From preventative care to advanced surgical solutions, their skilled physicians and caring staff are here for you, offering personalized treatment tailored to your unique needs. You can expect a blend of cutting-edge technology with a commitment to human kindness at their 20 hospitals and over 240 clinics and care sites right here in Colorado. Whether it's a routine checkup, managing a chronic condition, or responding to an emergency, you can trust Common Spirit to deliver exceptional care close to home, especially with sports-related injuries. They have a new sports health center down in Parker, which you can get to. Experience the difference compassion makes and find a Common Spirit location near you and discover a new standard of health and healing by visiting mountain.commonspirit.org. And of course, when they take care of sports injuries, not just for you, but Common Spirit Health is an official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos, so you know they know what they're doing when they cover a professional sports team. And yeah, just generally take care of your health. To get to that hospital or care site, you might need the official vehicle of DNVR, which is Toyota. Of course, trucks have been in their DNA for generations. You can get things like the Tacoma or the Land Cruiser, but they have tons of other vehicles too. 17 different vehicles with all or four-wheel drive available to keep you in control on the roads or on the trails. Of course, you can go with the 4Runner, the RAV4 if you're looking for SUVs, maybe a Corolla if you're looking for a sedan, and everything else in between with 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from. That's more low and zero emission vehicles than any other automaker out there. Jump in with Toyota at your local Front Range Toyota stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevens Toyota East Aurora, and Stevens Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, not just the official vehicle of DNVR, but the official vehicle of Colorado Avalanche and many other sports teams here in Colorado. Toyota, can't recommend them enough. Everyone needs a good vehicle these days. Toyota, let's go places.
Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We're getting into snake drafts, guys. We know
Can
we
I
love
interrupt and talk about my own all-time across the nation hatred because J. Mike and I are apparently just baseball kids at heart.
Let's hear it.
Every middle infielder from the mid-2000s that played for the Yankees, more specifically Derek Jeter and A-Rod, though.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Jeter or Soriano, they were just a really dislikable, like the Yankees in the early 2000s are what the Dodgers are today. Like the Yankees aren't really the Yankees anymore.
Yeah, the Red Sox kind of became the Yankees for a little bit, and now it's the Dodgers by like such a ridiculous margin. It's not even close. But I obviously was a fan of the Rockies growing up, but my AL team for a long time was the Seattle Mariners. And to put it in hockey terms, A-Rod going to the Yankees was like when Tavares left the Islanders to sign with Toronto. It's just like straight up betrayal. Like, it sucked.
It was so disappointing because he was so fun and he was a monster for Texas, even post Seattle, and just the way that it played out. But I mean, he was going to sign with Boston, I think, if he didn't sign with New York.
Yeah,
so either way, it was going to end up, he was going to the dark side.
He was on all the roids too, so it is what it is. But
baseball. Why color me shocked?
Anyway, that was just my anecdote about how people suck.
Yeah, no. We're going to get into a lot of people that suck in the snake draft. We love doing these while J-Mike is on the show. We love him so much, J-Mike. You get the first round pick, first overall.
So should we just omit Bertuzzi, who's on his own level and like such an obvious pick, or do we want to
take him?
Either way, whatever you want to do.
You can take him. Do it.
I mean, it's more interesting if we keep him out, but if he's in the game, then there's no other choice. It's Todd Bertuzzi and then everybody else by a pretty big margin. So give me old Bertuzzi. I've hated him for 2 decades, and I'll hate him for the rest of my life. So
this is a valid pick.
Genuinely, like a truth is stranger than fiction storyline of like, oh, not only did he do what he did, and then he came back and later went to play for the Detroit Red Wings. Like, seriously? Is this real?
Yep.
Well, his nephew still gets booed. I saw somebody, pointed out in the Toyota chat. Like, it's a generational hate. My children will hate Todd Bertuzzi's grandchildren, and I will pass that down. I can't guarantee much in this world, but I guarantee that the hatred for Todd Bertuzzi will be kept alive by me, if nothing else. Like, I will pound the table for Sonny Lubick to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, and for Todd Bertuzzi to be just universally recognized as the biggest POS in sports.
No argument from me on that one.
Rudo, you've got the next pick here.
Do I have to pick a player?
No.
All right, easy then. It's the entire Detroit Red Wings organization is the next pick. And I've talked about this a lot over the years, and I'm not rewriting the book here of like arguably the best rivalry in the history of sports, certainly American sports.
Absolutely.
But part of the reason the hatred was so strong for many people is so strong and it stood up so well is because it wasn't just about hatred. Obviously, you had the guys on the Red Wings that you hated. Darren McCarty, Chris Draper. I hated Sergei Fedorov. But the reason it stands up so well is that hatred is actually built on a bed of respect. Yes, there was some crazy, bloody wars that the Avs fought. Their goalies fought each other multiple times. But you also had Joe Sakic and Steve Yzerman that were like the super well-respected guys around the league, the handshake guys. One of them has had a better career in front offices than the other.
Not throwing any strays here.
Got to get your jabs in where you can. But you had those level of like all-time players that you had respect for. Obviously, both organizations had guys with unbelievable skill, guys like Pavel Datsyuk, guys like Peter Forsberg. The list goes on. And then they both were elite. This was not some of the rivalries that we've talked about where it's like, oh, yeah, well, everyone hates Kobe, but the Lakers just owned Denver for all of Kobe's career. Like, it wasn't really close. No, this is teams who went back and forth with each other and both won championships across the era where the rivalry was really, truly what it was. And that's really what I think makes it special is, yeah, I hated those guys, but damn, I knew they were good too.
Yeah. No, I absolutely, it's when you hear stories like this that are, I love that you said all of sport here because it is not just the city of Denver, the city of Detroit that remember this rivalry. Like this is a rivalry that seeps into the entire fabric of American sports.
Yep.
Documentaries were made about this. People have talked about this for years and years and years about how special this rivalry made sports as far as paying attention and the emotion. I feel like the three of us with AJ always talk about like how sports is such a romantic aspect to life.
Yeah.
And there's something kind of romantic to me about being able to hate a sports team just cause, or maybe there is rightful justification like there was with the Detroit Red Wings, but there's something very special to me about that.
It feels a lot better to hate a different team than the team you root for.
Is this the team that I'm thinking of?
No, I mean, I think it's a weird space in the Avsosphere, and this is true of some extent to every sports team. I don't want to like dunk on Avs fans specifically, but even if you feel like this era of the Avs only winning one cup is disappointing, which I think there's some valid conversation around, and they could still win another one, you don't hate this team the way Avs fans hated the Avs from 2011 to 2017. Like,
yeah.
I think Micah said it once of when you're a fan of a sports team that's just bad, it's not just, oh, my sports team is bad. It's my sports team is bad, and therefore I am also bad.
How do you think the entire Rockies organization felt for the longest time? Again,
and
it's just that.
That's a lot less fun than having a team to actually genuinely hate. But yep. I know J. Mike and I grew up with it, so it's one of those things that's just super ingrained in Avalanche fans' history.
Well, speaking of something that might be ingrained in Avs history to come, is a hatred of another team that is a little more current as far as rivalries goes. I'm taking the Dallas Stars here. Just because, why not? But also two current players there, that one of which I could make an argument for like kind of get over it. Like it's been so many years now. Like I'm just kind of like that mindset of like it's been a while, get over it.
No, F that guy.
The other, I'm choosing, my dad would be very proud of me in saying F this guy because my dad is a Carolina Hurricanes fan and really hates this guy. There are two players on this team that Avs fans love to hate on. And I think the organization as a whole, I'm leaning into my vendettas personally a little bit here as well and saying that the playoff run that Landy tried to return, the Dallas Stars ruined that.
I think the Avs ruined that for themselves.
But
maybe.
like I'm allowed to pander here a little bit and kind of let that get under my skin. I think there's the entire organization is just, and I'm not absolving the Avalanche of any sort of fault here as well because they bring out the worst in each other, right? Like there's a lot of chippiness on the ice. There's a lot of whether you want to look at Jamie Benn, whether you want to look at Jason Marchment when he played with the Stars, like there was a lot of like butting heads that I think brought out the best for fans to watch and the worst for teams to play against when it came to each other.
I'm curious, J. Mike, how you compare these two with the Detroit rivalry kind of being our childhoods, and then whatever this Dallas thing is. As in our adult lives, are they even comparable?
No, there's no rivalry in the sport of hockey right now that's like even in the conversation with what the Red Wings Avs was at its peak. It's more of an annoyance with me with Dallas than true hatred. Like they're just kind of that person in the office you cannot stand, where every time they talk, you're just like, this guy, man, like there's just something about him that drives me crazy. And obviously the shortcomings the Avs have had in multiple playoff series over the last, decade against them is a big factor. And there were a couple back in the day as well. But I think they're probably the most relevant current Avs villain, like probably at the top of the food chain of modern, but it's just truly a shame. And I understand why Detroit moved to the East, and logistically it makes sense. They're in the Eastern time zone, but it's just truly a shame for the sport that we don't have that to lean into, because I mean, like my grandma hated the Red Wings. Like when we're talking about like the sweetest, like sitting there knitting, and
That's
then,
such a
the Avs
dig
Red Wings
too, when you can be like, no, my grandma hated y'all. That's hilarious.
I think that's a trump card.
No, that's fantastic. And then to start out the second round, this is also kind of like two different views on this one. I am going with a player here. Also a personal vendetta because like F this guy on some accounts, but also like I feel like it's not just specifically the Avs that hate this guy. I know Nazem Kadri hates this guy. I'm going with Jordan Binnington on this one. This is the water bottle incident will live forever in Avs history. I love this story anytime it gets brought up. It's talk. And somebody mentioned in chat about punchable faces. Sometimes I feel like there are a lot of fans who could say this about Jordan Binnington, but especially a lot of Avs fans who are just like, why? Why is this? Why is he here? Like boo him off the ice kind of energy. And I love that.
Yeah. Jordan Binnington is the fakest tough guy in the NHL. He'll act all tough when he's got a bunch of guys between him and the guy he's acting tough about.
Yep.
And anytime he actually has to step up and if there's an opportunity to throw hands or something actually goes down,
skate away.
Yeah, he wants no smoke.
Nope.
He's not real.
That is also why it kind of sits with me too, is he's like, I love that Avs fans hate him as much as they do when he's just like, yeah, I appreciate the booze. Let's give him. Let's take him all in stride.
I don't want to get too philosophical on this, and whatever religion you subscribe to, I respect that. If God is spending his time giving you opportunities to throw empty water bottles at people, what are we doing? Like,
this is true.
The claim that was a God-given opportunity, which, by the way, AJ has talked about this before, to get to the media room in St. Louis's arena from the St. Louis locker room, you have to walk halfway around the arena. He didn't just stumble across that.
This was planned.
Yeah.
Like we were scouting somebody out in this endeavor. This is hilarious to me. So, yeah.
He's just a dork.
Things.
He's a dork. Like, it was, to his credit, played out of his mind, up there with Joe Flacco and the Ravens and their fluky run. And as a Denver sports fans, it's brutal that you had to be, first row for two of the flukier hot moments. But hey, to their credit, they played, at the peak at the right time. But God, that dude, he's a dork. Like as much as Bertuzzi is a true villain, as much as, Vernon and McCarty and all those dudes that we love to hate on Detroit, Biddington's just like, man, this dweeb. Like, he got elected class president and he won't shut up. Like, the dude's just a dork.
Yep. I can wholeheartedly get down with this take. We got a couple more picks to get through, but we do have to hit our second ad break of the show. We're going to go shout out a couple more sponsors and throw it over to Rudo for the next pick.
If you're trying to get to your next event, whether it be sports or otherwise, you got to get with Game Time. You can download the app today. There's a link down in the description if you want to do it with us. And when you sign up with code DNVR, you get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms do apply there. But Game Time guarantees you the best price on tickets. If you find tickets somewhere else, you can get reimbursed 110% of the ticket price to your Game Time account. Tons of ways to save money on tickets with Game Time, whether that be the section selector, the last minute ticket deals. And like I mentioned, it's not just sports, concert, theater, movies, pretty much any ticketed event under the sun you can get with Game Time. Maybe more importantly, Game Time shows you the all-in price of the ticket. You don't get hit with any surprise fees at checkout or anything crazy like that. You actually know what you're paying when it comes to Game Time. And for some events, you can even see where you're sitting. You can see what the seats look like. All of that great stuff. When you download the Game Time app today, you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Again, link in the description to download and use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase when you download the Game Time app today. Once you got your tickets through Game Time, you're probably going to see something in the sun, and that's why you need Shady Rays. Everybody knows the moment where they forgot their sunglasses. It's happened to all of you, I'm sure. It's happened to me, whether it's at the beach or you left them fall off your car at the gas station or whatever it might be. You're out sunglasses. But Shady Rays is the company that has your back in that category. Their sunglasses are made for real life. They're seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and they're not stupidly expensive. And if you lose them or you break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair even. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now you don't have to worry about wearing your sunglasses, whether it's on hikes, at concerts, or on the boat. Wherever you're going, Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back. They also sponsor our Rooftop Fridays. There's one coming up tomorrow. If you want to come hang out with us at a Rockies game and maybe win some pairs of Shady Rays, you can go to thednvr.com/events to RSVP and come hang out with some of the DNVR crew. And to get your sunglasses, head over to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR50 to get 50% off 2+ pairs of sunglasses today. That's 50% off at shadyrays.com with code DNVR50 for 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses.
Third and final period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Rudo, your second round pick.
Matt Cook.
Oh.
And I know this one is pretty specific, but I think outside of the Avsosphere, I will find a lot of friendly faces that hate Matt Cook. Mostly because he's a scumbag similar to Tyler Bertuzzi, has multiple instances of intentionally injuring people over the years. But specifically for the Avalanche, he blew up Tyson Barrie's knee in the 13-14 series against Minnesota. And I truly believe the Avs absolutely win that series if Barrie's ACL doesn't explode because Matt Cook decided to take it out. So if you're looking at a player 1-to-1 that I think legitimately cost an Avs a series, it's Matt Cook.
This is valid hatred. J Mike, I have you put
I kind of
it
black
here.
out that series. I had all my buddies in my college dorm room and we were so amped for it, and it goes 7 games, and just some of the details I'd kind of forgotten, but you saying that puts me right back in my state of rage where, like, for the rest of the series I've just begging for somebody to take this dude out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's the late 90s, early 2000s hockey went through this transition of like, it used to be a league where you could borderline just kill each other.
Mm.
And
Is that not what the AHL kind of turned into for a period there too?
The AHL's gotten better these days. The ECHL's kind of still that way. But you went through this transition period of it. Like the league at some point decided we're not going to do this anymore. And you had to like slowly filter out the guys that would do things like that. And I want to be clear that there's a big difference between someone like a Scott Parker or George Laraque, that those guys were enforcers, but they were the type of enforcer that would fight other enforcers. And when they did what they did, they would be like, hey, let's fight. As opposed to people like a Todd Bertuzzi that would just sucker people, as opposed to a person like Matt Cook, where I don't remember the name, but go look it up on YouTube and you'll find videos of Matt Cook using his skate to step on people's heels.
Oh God.
In the corners. And it's like, this is
oh my God.
This is not okay. Like you can't do stuff like this. This is not a war
Bro
zone.
is
Like,
single-handedly making sure Achilles tears
like, it's
are still
crazy.
relevant in today's day and age. Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
Scott Parker, for the record, one of the sweetest individuals
Yeah,
I've ever
awesome
met
guy.
in my life. Like, just a really cool dude.
Yep. J Mike, you got 2 picks coming up here.
I'm not done hating on the Canucks, so give me Mark Crawford too, because I can still think of his smug little face after the incident, and Granato wanting to come over the boards, and me wanting to come through the TV, and I'm not going to let it go. Like, again, it's going to be generational hate. It fuels me to this day.
This is something that's going to get passed down to
those
your
guys.
kids. Like, hey, Dad, why do we hate Mark Crawford? Let me
They'll
tell
know.
you a story.
They'll know. They'll have heard it a few times.
No, Mark Crawford, great pick here. And then you start out round 3.
You guys taking Dallas and Detroit in totality really
Yeah, we
limits
made
a
it
lot of
hard.
the names that I had on my list, but I guess I can get away with just putting Pete DeBoer on there, who was the bane of the Avalanche existence through multiple franchises over the years.
Yep.
I
So
enjoy
Pete
this
DeBoer,
pick.
who, again, if we're just talking about personal grievances, the guy did not like me when I was covering that Avs Star series. Every question I asked him, he was just a prick to me. And a couple times walking past him, like in the tunnels and stuff, I felt like I got the stare down, and I was just, I was on the guy's shit list for whatever reason. So he didn't like
I was going to
me,
ask, what did you do to Pete DeBoer?
I asked him about Gabe Landeskog coming back and like whether that can create an emotional spark. And by the way, they had a very similar situation on their side that he could have drawn parallels to, but he just basically was like, why don't you ask, their coach that? And I was like, all right, man, cool.
Yep. Pete DeBoer, I think Jake Ottinger and you have very similar feelings on Pete DeBoer. I think he would really enjoy your list.
We could start a fan club. We can have an email blast or something like that.
I'm not saying DeBoer's a good guy, but he might be right about Jake Ottinger.
Doesn't mean you can't hate him any less.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
not trying to defend a Dallas Stars goalie or anything, but who broke his confidence?
Yeah, I was going to say this is all Pete DeBoer's fault. He's the one that broke
Maybe.
Jake Ottinger.
Maybe.
The storyline is great. Rudo, you got one last pick.
I do think there are opportunities to like pick other things here. You have some great historical battles in the playoffs for the Avs against teams like LA, against teams like Edmonton, that you could make cases for. But I feel like in the spirit of actually like hating people, on the run up to the 22 Cup, the incident with Zach Rinaldo is the one that sticks out to me the most. If you didn't watch, he sucker punched Sam Girard in the back of the head. Nowhere near as bad as like what Bertuzzi did, but still total scumbag move. And that is less about maybe me or the fans deciding to hate Zach Rinaldo, but in that moment, the entire Avalanche lineup decided Zach Rinaldo is not allowed to exist anymore. 3 different dudes on the ice tried to jump that guy. It, like EJ, McKinnon, and there was someone else, all got their shots in on him. And then basically a line brawl broke out because of the situation. And it was like probably the closest feeling to what it was like every night against Detroit a decade, 2 decades prior. That gave me that feeling again for the first time in a very, very long time.
Line brawls are always fun. Like that surely helps a lot of, not just, they're fun to watch in person, especially when you can start one right off the bat. But for situations like that, like that'll definitely fuel a lot of hatred when you know you're justified and, oh, that was bad, when everybody else on the ice is saying, oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty scummy to have EJ wanting to fight you.
Right? Yeah. When EJ's dropping the gloves, like Manson will fight anybody who looks at him wrong.
Yeah.
But EJ, like, I feel like you got to poke the bear enough times to be like, this is bad.
It's a great comment in the Toyota chat. I've already said a few too many swear words today, so I'm not going to read it verbatim. But EJ threw him around.
Yeah.
He dog walked him in that fight. It was not a proper bout. He gave him a good beatdown.
I want to give a couple honorable mentions, some love before I make my final pick too, because as you've mentioned, there have been a couple different ones over the years. The Seattle Kraken also come to mind as like Jordan Epperly and that whole situation. With I mean, there's 2 different reasons you could hate the Seattle Kraken, both for Cogliano's sake and for Cale Makar. So I think they deserve a little bit of love here. Vegas Golden Knights for obvious reasons.
Easily hateable.
Very hateable. And again, it's one of those ones, like, it's not just Denver specific, but Denver has a couple different reasons to enjoy hating on the Vegas Golden Knights, mostly for postseason runs. For me personally, though, I'm going a little off the board with this one. And somebody on Twitter the other day, when the Cale Makar interview got posted, accused me of being Avs PR because I could not ask questions, certain questions. I'm going to be Scott Wedgwood PR right now and say the DOPS is my third villain for the Colorado Avalanche. The Department of Player Safety is getting my vote here.
Probably goes a little bit further than just Wedgwood. But
that was the first one that came to mind when, like, I think of that Buffalo game where, like,
of course.
It's you do better, but also like there's a lot of different things that could come through here. That is not just Avalanche specific, but the Avalanche have been a big victim to a lot of the things that the Department of Player Safety has failed to pick up on.
Yeah, there are not a lot of teams that have had a situation that's happened that immediately got the rules changed. There are plenty of Department of Player Safety situations where someone has done something stupid and it's like, obviously you can't do that. Part of the reason I wouldn't put Evander Kane's hit in the playoffs on this list is because Nazem Kadri
deserved it.
The year before almost killed a guy with a terrible hit in the playoffs. Like, unfortunately, that happens. But the Avalanche watched Matt Calvert get hit in the head with a puck, be bleeding from the head on the ice, and the refs were like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just keep playing.
Yeah, just go for it. I think back, I know Seattle was one of my honorable mentions here, but looking at that whole situation where Cale Makar gets suspended and, oh, look, nothing else is going to happen here. There's too many I've been burned one too many times watching this Colorado Avalanche team. The Department of Player Safety is on my naughty list.
There is a bigger, more important conversation here too than just, these are the guys we love to hate. The Department of Player Safety has a duty to the NHL Players Association to protect their players. And without getting into the bigger conversation of all of the scumbaggery around things like CTE and professional sports and all of that, every year we see things like the Seattle series. Cogliano broke his neck in that game and finished the game. That's not okay.
Nope.
Like, you can't.
Nope.
I understand Cogliano is an insane warrior and all of that and all the credit there. You as a professional organization cannot have a guy break his neck and let him go back out onto the ice and continue playing the game.
There's a reason you have concussion spotters to go when players get hit in the head. There should be more protection for situations like this specifically, where if there is an inkling, like this is something in high school sports that they do. Like if you get hit in the head, you are not, and you are down for a period of time, you even look disoriented. I'm sorry, you don't get to finish the game. And I understand you have bets and you have other game situations that are maybe dependent on some of these players, and their technology is a lot better in professional leagues than it is in high school. I get that, right? But if there is even an inkling that one of these guys is dealing with something that is not normal, that is not healthy, that is not putting them in a situation like if they get hit again, this could kill them kind of situation, pull them, yank them.
Yeah.
Like that should have been what happened with Cogliano.
That part's crazy. I don't know. This comment in the Toyota chat, I think, is a little crazy too, because the Avs' response to that was to go win the Stanley Cup. Like, I don't know.
On the road to the 22 Cup run. I mean, if you could talk about lighting a fire under people, like that's one way to do it. Yeah, I don't know. There's a huge conversation, and it's Department of Player Safety deserves a lot of this attention, rightfully so. There's, I think, a little bit that could be done from people on the outside too. Somebody mentioned referees might have a conversation for honorable mentions on this list for shady situations that have happened in the past.
Look, of the three people on this show, J-Mike is definitely the one most likely to actually fight somebody. So I'm curious where J-Mike draws the line here, though. Like, where are you being a hockey player versus what crosses the line? I think it's a hard line to draw. Exactly. Yeah.
Let me say this, that going back to what you guys were just talking about, and obviously there's a duty to protect the players. There's an element of the players to assist in the process. As somebody who's been on the sideline and watched somebody lie to a concussion spot, I mean, the players want to play. They know what they're going. They know what the deal is. So it's easier said than done to be like, every time there's contact, you just got to pull. There's a lot of upper body contact and contact to the head in hockey and football. It's certainly the right mentality to have, and it's what you need to aim to do. But there's an element, I think, of the players, especially in a sport like hockey, which is so violent, and you can have a collision at full speed in a way that's pretty much incomparable. Like, they've kind of taken that out of football. The punt return, I guess, is probably the closest in terms of like the types of collision that you can have if you have two guys going full speed. And because of that, I have always kind of respected the code of like, we're going to enforce the rules ourselves. If somebody goes over the line, there's going to be a cost to be paid. But the problem is that's so nuanced, and it leads to things like the Bertuzzi incident, where something just boiled over so far over the line because somewhere along the line we needed to step in and basically put a pot on the simmering water there. But I don't know. I think hockey is the one sport that I guess in theory I think there's a small place for fighting still. I'm I also know just my mentality personally, like as a teammate, like if you, in my mind, tried to hurt my teammate, I probably was trying to tackle you. So like I'm not going to get on my high horse or be too preachy in terms of like, what's ethical and what's not. But I'll go back to the definition of pornography. You know it when you see it.
Fair.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is an interesting conversation when you get into the contact sport. Like what defines too much? Like what defines, all right, if this is the line you're setting down, like you stay out down on the ice a little bit and you shake it off, you're good? Or like, is there too much attention? Like I know with soccer, there are certain rules, like, oh, if trainers come out onto the field in some situations and they're on there for a while, like you got to come off, or certain situations like that. Like it's
Don't
just so
even
interesting.
Get me started on that.
But that's my whole point, right? Is it like there's so much nuance to it that I think there needs to be a line drawn somewhere. It's just, where is that line?
I mean, yes, there needs to be a line, but the reality is always going to be there's a pretty large gray area, right? Of like, it happens regularly in an NHL regular season where you see a big hit and you're like, if you slow it down frame by frame, is it a half second late? Maybe. But in the live action play, it's hard to make a judgment call on something like that. And there's a reason so many of the names on our draft list are guys who was like, there is no gray area here. Like, you clearly just attacked a guy.
Again, civil case.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It doesn't get much more set.
Well, that's the thing.
That.
There's so fewer justifiable hits in the way that there were, 30 years ago, the type of stuff that led to, the brawls. And as much as we hate the Avs, obviously Claude Lemieux kind of had his part in, there's a reason that they came at him. We'll just say
justifiable villain for the rest of time.
Yeah, I mean,
shout out Claude, by the way, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah. It just, I don't know. The sport's changed so much. I feel like we really don't get a ton of what would lead to, a brawl or the type of moments that, you're like, yeah, absolutely. If you all want to go jump, like I think the entire Avalanche team could have jumped him, and Peter Worrell was about to like go to jail that night to get Bertuzzi himself. But it was, I'm glad there's less of it, as much as it's fun to like think about the chaos and like, I grew up, same as Rudo, ESPN used to do entire segments jacked up on us literally watching guys get CTE in real time. I don't celebrate that element of the game the way that I did when I was a kid, because we've humanized these athletes in a good way. I think also like it was fun. So it's a weird thing to talk about.
It's a hard thing to balance in my head. And the old heads in the chat will know my favorite hockey call of all time during live action play. The favorite call is Ray Borg lifting the Stanley Cup. It's just the best call. You can't beat Gary Thorne. But my other favorite Gary Thorne call is the Anaheim Ducks Paul Kariya off the floor on the board call. It's like one of the all-time greatest hockey moments. And Paul Kariya was so unbelievable concussed when he scored that goal. Like, there's no universe where he should have been playing
on the ice whatsoever.
Yeah, right. Like, people have done multiple interviews with him today, and he's like, I don't remember anything about that game. Like, it's bad. and so in some part, I guess unavoidably I'm the asshole here. But to some extent, not to that extent, but to some extent, when you sign a professional NHL contract or football or whatever, you are accepting some level of risk tolerance, right? Like, injuries are a thing that happen in professional sports, especially contact sports.
So many things ride on it too.
And in some ways that does make those sports special. So again, it's really, really hard when there are these clear black and white cases of, yeah, that guy essentially committed a crime. It's easy, but there are going to be people that fall all over the spectrum of how much physicality is too much physicality in a sport like this. And at the end of the day, you do need to remember the human beings that are playing the sport. They have lives to live, lives that will exist long after they're done playing hockey. And that's why I am of the opinion that getting rid of the blindside hits, the Scott Stevens stuff is good in the end.
Yeah.
But also there's that caveman part of my brain that's like, some of that stuff was sick. Like,
you're trying to make a violent sport as safe as you can.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be an inherently safe sport. Like, you are signing up to play a brutal game. And I think the game's in a good place in terms of the balance. Like, you don't want to take all of the checking out altogether. That wouldn't be entertaining. But, I mean, you're on skates on ice. There's a lot that can go wrong.
No, and this is where I kind of bring up too, like, that gray area can exist. Players are human beings just as much as referees are, right?
Sure.
And there's a lot of conversation in chat happening about like the true villains being the referees, which I feel like can be a different conversation for a different show. There's a lot that we could get into on that topic in particular, but
every team believes that. That's not an Avalanche villain.
This is not Avalanche specific. The whole point that I get into with this specifically is, even if the sport is in a good place where like you can find some of this stuff sick and you know what crosses the line, that's where the Department of Player Safety comes into play, right? Is you really need at least some sort of line, like, okay, hey, if the referee's missing this frame by frame, like, oh, you go back and look at that, like, it really sucked. And it should not have happened. Like, go and take action. Go and hold players accountable. Go and hold the people who are doing those things to ruin the game or to make the game more unsafe than it needs to be accountable. Like that
we
needs
have the
to
technology.
You do, and we can get into a whole other debate about just how available that technology should be in game situations too. But that is my whole thing, is Department of Player Safety exists for a reason. This is a very unsafe sport. There is a lot of gray area. Hold your players accountable. There should be no reason as to whether we're considering what should or shouldn't be like 5 games or whatever. Like, we shouldn't be surprised when some of these big hits come out and get like these big suspensions, because that's what should happen. Players should be held accountable.
It's just so hard, right? Like, obviously you need accountability, but then you also have the regular occurrence in the NHL of a guy making a huge clean hit and then having to fight a guy because the team that got hit got mad about it, regardless of whether it was clean or dirty. Like, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for the complete
the game
thing.
evolves. Our opinions evolve. I mean, I had greatest hits in NHL history on VHS tape, and I'd watch that with my buddies, and we'd watch dudes get jacked up and we'd celebrate it, and it was fun. And it's different. And when you work around the sport as closely as we do, when you meet the individuals that are having their lives potentially impacted forever when they go down, like I've been feet away from someone whose ACL just got torn. I've heard a leg snap in half. I've been feet and heard the screams that come after it. It's horrifying, and it's really freaking scary when somebody gets knocked unconscious and their body goes stiff and they do the whole fencing thing. It's a scary thing, but it's an element that's never going to be completely gone. I will say, I want to try and end on kind of a funnier note, because I think what you said was great, Bailey, and I can't really put it any better. We did glance over that Vegas hate a little prematurely, like just the most like, they come in, they get such a favorable scenario for their roster building, the way they've danced around the rules. Like, they are the rich guys who the rules don't abide to them, and they show up and then they've just got punchable faces. All like, they're the 80s movie villain. That's how I'd put it. They're like the douche in an 80s rom-com that you just universally root against.
It's the team for tourists. It's flashy and it's catering to Vegas, but it's a team to me that's like, what do you have to hate for all of this like like hatred energy that you're giving off.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the Avs have earned the right. Like with Dallas, at least you can say, oh, they took them to 6 games. Oh, they took them to 7 games. They've been competitive.
Oh, they've had some horrible.
They own the
players
Avs.
The Avs have lost
no
8 straight
around
playoff games to Vegas. Like, what can you say? You got owned.
Yeah. So I think
I dislike
that's,
them even before the postseason success against
Fair.
Colorado.
they were
specifically.
gifted their team, and I will die on this hill. The fact that expansion draft happened the way that it did, and Seattle got, which as we head into overtime here, the conversation continues at thednvr.com. The Seattle expansion draft is how it should have happened. I will give them props there. But the fact that Vegas, that whole situation blossomed into what it was, and they became as good as they were so quickly, and they kind of gifted a lot of their success, is I will die on this hill.
That's what I'm saying. They're the rich villain, man. It's all on daddy's
Nepo
credit card.
babies
They're
of the
bullying
NHL.
kids in the hallway, smacking textbooks out of the nerdy character. Like they're bad vibes, bad energy. Certainly, they have kicked the Avs' teeth in, but I'm just gonna say their whole demeanor just sus.
Yep.
I think that expansion draft was more proof that NHL GMs are bad at their job and don't know what they're doing more than anything. Like,
No, the fact they were the guinea pig of like this kind of era for expansion, right? Is it like that? That was the test
Seattle
subject.
still
bunch of
messed
teams
it up.
freaked out and gave them way too much, and
Yep.
then they learned, and then they didn't give Seattle anything, and it is what it is.
Yep. And then people still hate Seattle too, which I think is hilarious. So that's that. Do you guys have anything else to add before we get going?
It's fun to hate as long as you keep it to sports.
Yes.
The whole part of sports is hate watching the teams you don't like and rooting against the teams that are trying to beat your team. But also, it's just sports, man. You don't have to turn this into a whole thing.
You're telling me I can't base my entire life around sports hatred?
I mean, you can. People do, but just the same way when players have crossed the line, don't cross that line as a fan either. If you're in people's DMs yelling about how they suck, stop.
Think about how much more quiet hockey would be if the boards didn't exist and players couldn't jump them to jump fans for saying stupid things.
Just be a human being about it. You are allowed your opinions. You're allowed to hate teams you don't like. There are still people behind all of that.
Yep.
So hate nicely.
Yep. J-Mike? Anything else?
Fuck you, Todd Bertuzzi.
On that note, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for today's show. Fun Friday with a twist tomorrow, you guys. It's maybe not as fun as some of the other Fun Fridays we've done on the show recently, but we're going to go and rank some jerseys for day 5 of Rank Week. I can talk. We're talking about the best jerseys in the markets of Denver and Colorado. J-Mike, I don't believe you will be joining us for that one, but you will be there in spirit. If you want to send us your favorite Colorado Avalanche jerseys, we'll be sure to get your opinions there on the show. We're going to go and do some tier lists for some Colorado Avalanche jerseys, the most loved, the most hated. We're talking about them all until tomorrow, though, where we will end the week. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We will see you all later.
We all silly like the mayor.